Fightful.com broke the news this week that Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder of the Revival were each offered $500,000 a year for 5 years to stay with WWE. That's $2.5 million devoted to each member, $5 million total to keep the Revival under contract for the next 5 years. Bodyslam.net claims that dollar figure was actually low, and each member was actually offered $550,000 a year. Boy, that must be the scariest t-shirt company in the world for WWE to be so desperately throwing that kind of money around at people to stay. Bodyslam.net also broke the news that WWE has informed Dash Wilder that they are extending his contract by 2 months to make up for the time he was out injured with a fractured jaw 2 years ago when the Revival were first called down to the main roster. And it would not at all surprise me. You watch in these next few weeks if this news comes out. It would not at all surprise me if they turn around and do the exact same thing with Scott Dawson, who missed about 4 months, I think it was. Double the time that Dash missed. 4 months he was out with a ruptured bicep. When Dash came back, he got hurt. And that's how much time he missed. You watch them tack that onto his contract too. Now, per the Observer, they turned down those $550,000 a year offers after meeting with management before Raw on Monday. They were going to huddle and meet with, Vince directly or other people, other executives in the company. And supposedly they said no. They rejected the offer, which is obvious given how they were booked later on the show that night. They shot an angle where the Usos caught Dash and Dawson in the showers with Dash shaving Scott Dawson's back hair. And they mocked them for it. And really, this comes down to the ultimate decision of money versus happiness, right? It's the age-old question, what's more important to you? What's more important? Is it more important that you be happy with what you do and satisfied and not miserable, but maybe make less money? Or is money the most important thing? Is money the end-all be-all? Make as much as you can, and if that means you've got to eat shit for a while, then so be it. It's the ultimate money versus happiness decision. Me? Look, it would be very hard to turn down that kind of money. But until you are in that situation yourself, you just don't know. All these people quarterbacking off this story, you know that if it were you, you would take that money in a heartbeat. Every situation is different. There's a lot of other factors to take into consideration. How much do they want to be on the road, traveling for the next 5 years? Are they comfortable with the schedule they have now? Do they want more time off built into their deal? And remember, they're also responsible for paying all of that travel each year, except for airfare. The company takes care of that. But they have to take care of everything else on their own. Are they okay with that? How much of that is going to eat away at what they're making? Do they want 5 more years of Vince McMahon's creative decisions? Are there teams outside of WWE that they want to work with and feel they can make money with? On the flip side, this is not a business where you have a 401k waiting for you on the other end when you turn 65. There's no pension plan. It's what you make now and more importantly, what you save. The more you make now, the more you can bank it, invest it, grow it. So you've got a little nest egg for you and your family when your career is over. And you're always one injury away from your career being over. You're always one horrible injury away from WWE going to you and saying, we're not going to clear you. You gotta remember that too. And a team like the Revival, getting that kind of money, hey, the landscape may be very different next year, especially if AEW falters and doesn't do well. The landscape a year from now could look very different. So there's a lot of factors to think about here. It's not such a cut and dry, easy decision to make. To me, it's the 5 years. 5 years is a long time. And I know that Kevin Owens and some other people in the last year or so have signed 5-year deals with WWE. And that's great. Kevin Owens, I'm sure, is making, a nice living for himself, and he's got 2 kids and a wife to support. But 5 years to me, that's a long time. If it was 2 years, if it was 3 years, to me it would be a no-brainer. 5 years, though, why would they sign 5-year contracts now when they still have a year left on their current ones? AEW hasn't even had their first show yet. The Fox deal and all that Fox money hasn't even kicked in yet. It would be foolish to commit to a deal that long before all of that happens. I think you push for a shorter deal, and if they want them bad enough, they'll agree to it. They'll agree to 3 years instead of 5 or something like that. If not, then you'll know it's not a matter of them valuing you for your talent or what you bring to the table. They just want to sign you to keep you from going somewhere else, which is really all any of this is about. WWE is cash rich at the moment. They can throw that kind of money around like it's nothing. No skin off their back, but they have all the leverage. It's always about WWE having the upper hand. But to sign for 5 years when you still have a year left does not seem like the wisest choice to make. And it looks like they feel the same way. And in case you're not already excited by this back hair storyline, here's the write-up on WWE.com for Raw tomorrow night. Okay, the headline is, "You Shave My Back." This is what it says. It says, okay, so the headline shouldn't have been that the Revival shave each other's backs in the shower, but the mildly embarrassing footage obtained by the Usos was still enough to unman the top guys when all was said and done. The Usos now have a psychological edge. Do they? They have a psychological edge in this young rivalry, and in order to catch up to their rivals, could have used a different word there, but that's okay, the former Raw Tag Team Champions have to either develop thicker skin or finish out their business between the ropes in a way that they could not this past week against Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins. In other words, this could be the beginning of a whole new revival or the first humiliation of many. The choice is up to them. The choice is up to them. If that isn't a not so subtle way of sending a message, I don't know what is. It's almost like Vince wrote that write-up himself. They need to make the decision they feel is best for them and their families. They have to make a decision that they can look in the mirror and be happy about. And all these people calling them stupid for turning... I said this with Ambrose before. All of these people, and I see people saying it would be dumb for them to turn down that kind of money. Who the hell are these guys? They're never going to get another offer like this for the rest of their lives. And calling them basically stupid for turning down the money. You people need to wise up and realize that it's not always about the frickin' money. I would rather make a little less money and be able to go to work happy and like what I do rather than make a lot of money but be miserable and want to blow my brains out every time I wake up in the morning. There's a lot of WWE guys over the years, not even top stars necessarily, but high up enough on the card, who have done interviews talking about how they have this nice big house. Oh yeah, I was able to finally buy my dream home. You know, I bought this nice house, but I only get home a few days a month to really enjoy it. What's the point in making a lot of money and spending it on things like that if you're never able to really enjoy it? Or if you have a kid like Dawson does and have to miss out on a lot of them as they're growing up. Just keep that in mind before you go off on how dumb they are or anybody else is for just not taking the money and keeping their mouth shut.